Hi, in this video we will be seeing and visualizing different relationship between features in a dataset. Now the relationship can be either a linear or a non-linear or a monotonic, or there can be no relationship at all. We will also be seeing how to assess the strength of a relationship, and we'll be seeing this with examples. Finally, we will see some idea and concepts around polynomials and segmentation. So that's what we are going to see in this video. Now, if you take a real world data set, no two relationship forms a straight line, even though in theory we have seen like there's a linear relationship and there will be a straight line, but typically that does not happen with the real world data set. Many data is curvy in nature, right? So let's get started and see like how the data looks like, and also we will talk how to handle this data in your modeling process. So the very first thing before getting started, I want to start with a note telling like any statistical test cannot conclude anything, right? All the tests that we do are based on some relative likelihood. You need to put this test in the context and in the practical importance of the domain that you are working on for this test to really signify a signal or noise, right? So that's just a note. Let's get started. So typically with any other videos of mine, I'm going to import the same package. I am going to import pandas, which is to read the data set, and we'll be doing some wrangling of the data set. I'll be using Seaborn and Matplotlib to plot the relationship, and NumPy in this case I'll be using just for the polynomials, but I'm going to like kind of move the polynomials to separate video as well, where I'll be going in the detail, but I'll just give an intuition in this video about the polynomials. So the very first thing I'm doing is I am importing the data set. I'm using the pandas.readcsv method, and I'm doing a loan analysis summary data set. This is in my GitHub repo, and you can download it and you can use it. Now this is the data set. What we have done is we have created in our previous video, we have taken an raw data which is close to 1,000,000 rows, and we have summarized the data set. That's the data set we'll be using in this video. In case if you are not seen that video or just want to look at it, you can click the link on the top, but that is not mandatory for this particular video. So let me quickly import the data set and let run this particular reading the data set into a pandas data frame method, and let's quickly see the first initial few rows of the data set. Now if you see this data set, basically I have an FICO score, and I have like for each FICO FICO score is a score range between 300 to 850, and it assesses the credit worthiness of an individual. So when you're going to a bank to take an unsecured loan or a credit card or even a home mortgage, typically they see your credit score, and credit score is nothing but an aggregated view of your payment history, your delinquency, how your behavior is across all your accounts, right? So it's a range between 300 to 850, and more the value or more the credit FICO score is, you have better credit worthiness. That is one part of it. The second is bank does not typically lend to all the FICO scores. They usually have a cutoff. So any FICO score greater than 650 range is typically considered prime, and they kind of give extend better credit to them. But said that some bank also operates on subprime borrowers who have credit score of 500 and above, but typically they get an higher interest rate in their borrowing. So this FICO score column, and then the number of loans that are there within that FICO score, and how much is the defaulted loans within that FICO score. So these are the three columns. The debt to income ratio is how much of debt that does that user have against the income. So if he has an income of $1,000 and he is taking a debt of say like $300, then that means its debt to income ratio is 30%. So that is this is the average debt to income ratio across this FICO score. Then the average loan amount that in the FICO score. So typically, if you really see what will happen, the interest rate column you see over here, the lower the FICO score, the higher the interest rate will be. And as you get to the higher FICO score, you may get an loan with a lower interest rate. And the debt to income ratio also follows a linear pattern. People who are having like a better credit score might have a better debt to income ratio. That's the ideal scenario, but we'll see whether our data also tells the same thing. And the default rate is how many customer in each FICO score bucket has defaulted. And when the score is pretty lower, or when the users are like subprime and near prime, basically the default rate will be pretty higher. compared to the higher FICO score ranges. So this is our data set. Now some of the relationship comes with domain knowledge, but let's try to go and visualize the data and see the output. Now, if you see this particular data set, there is a combination of discrete variable and continuous variable. If you take loan total and default total, these are nothing but countable values, and these are discrete values. Now, if you have a discrete variable and you want to include it in any statistical function or regression or ANOVA model, you can decide whether you want to treat it as a continuous predictor or you want to treat it as a categorical predictor. Now, if the discrete value does not have too many like buckets, right? Like if it's an 0 or 1 or 0 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then you may better treat it as a categorical value. But when it has too many ranges, then you may want to maybe treat it as a continuous variable. It all depends on the test you are doing and how do you want to represent that particular value. So let me quickly do an describe of this column. This shows the summary statistics. It shows the mean value, median value of different variables that we have. It also shows you like what is the 25 percentile data, what is the 50 percentile data, and max data. It's a good way to look at your data. If you see the data of mean and median are pretty close, then you can expect the data to be normally distributed, but not the case. Just an example. But if mean and median are way apart, then maybe there is a right skew or left skew depending on the data set. Now, if you take the annual income, right, the annual income mean value over here, the annual income, the mean value is around 65,000, and the median value, that is a 15%, is around 63,000, right? So you can see here typically the salary is right skewed, but in some cases you may find it pretty close. For example, the debt to income ratio, the mean is 18.7 and 50%, that is the median, is 19.08. They are pretty close to each other, right? So there are two ways to measure a relationship. One is the covariance and second is the correlation. Now, the way covariance are not standardized values. All right, I'm going to show the output. Covariance are basically not standardized values like correlation is. Correlation is basically standardized value between -1 to +1. Now, covariance is used to measure the direction of the relationship. A positive covariance shows a positive relationship, and a negative covariance shows a negative correlationship. Now, covariance can range from negative infinity to positive infinity. The value of a perfect relationship in a covariance, that depends on purely based on the data. So there is no single measure that you can conclude the strength of the relationship, and that's where the correlation comes into play. Now, correlation, if there is a perfect linear relationship, then you can see a positive one for positive relationship and a negative one for negative relationship, and zero means like no relationship at all. So let us first check the covariance of the entire data set. And now if you really see, it gives you in a kind of a cross tab format. Now you have all the variables in the x-axis, and in the x-axis, and on top in the header also you have all the variables. Now if you see the FICO score to loan total, basically it's an around 84,317 some number, right? As I said, it's between negative infinity to positive infinity. Now based on this, you know there is a positive relationship. Or if you take a FICO score to maybe the DTI, and that's a negative relationship, right? It shows -164, but it does not give you really the strength of the relationship, and that's where the correlation comes into play. Correlation is a pretty good measure to understand the strength of the relationship. And if you now run correlationship, basically it's a value between -1 to +1. -1 means there's a negative relationship, and closer to -1 still means there's a strong relationship, whereas closer to 0 means there is a weak relationship, and 0 means literally no relationship at all. You can put the threshold as per your business need, and a positive one shows there is a strong positive relationship. So if you take in this case the FICO score and the debt to income ratio, there is a strong negative relationship. So basically, as the FICO score increases, the debt to income ratio is typically lesser. That's what it means. And if you take with the interest rate also, the FICO score to interest rate has a negative relationship. So that's a -0.96, which is a very strong negative relationship. And typically we know when the FICO score is higher, the interest rate is lower. Typically, the bank consider them as higher creditworthiness, and they know they are not risky customers, so they can offer in a low interest rate. But when the FICO score is low, they typically give in the higher interest rate to kind of offset the risk they carry with. right? So basically this is the correlation. Now, if you see over here, similarly for each of the variable, like if you take debt to income ratio to annual income, it's basically a negative relationship again, because typically people who have like a better annual income will have an low debt to income ratio. So there are this is a good way to visualize the all the numerical values by just calling the pandas correlation method. Now let's pick some variables and go individually and visualize different kind of relationship that can exist. There can be a linear, there can be a non-linear, there can be monotonic, or there can be no relationship at all. So let's go and see, and I will also talk about when you are modeling this variable, how you can handle it. Now when we talk about correlation, there are two kind of methods to assess a relationship. One is the Pearson correlation. Basically the Pearson correlation is used to measure the degree of relationship between a linearly related value. So if there's a strong linear relationship, then you may go for Pearson correlation. The only thing is Pearson correlation as an assumption that both variables should be normally distributed. So if both the values are not normally distributed, then Pearson may still give you the strength of the relationship, but not in a more accurate way. The next one is Spearman rank correlation. Let me run this also before going to the details of it. Now, if you see over here, between FICO score and your debt to income ratio, still there's a negative correlation, but there's a negative 0.93. But if you see on the top, when we used Pearson, it's 0.92. So they are little closer. That means there's some linearity over here, and there is the data is also like maybe not perfectly normally distributed, but close to normal distributed. Now, Spearman rank correlation is a non-parametric test that is used to measure the degree of association between two variables. Now, what the Spearman correlation does, it evaluates the monotonic relationship between a continuous variable or ordinal variables. So if you have a value which has order to it, then you can use Spearman correlation pretty well. And in this case, maybe FICO score is an ordered variable, right? Because depending on the FICO score buckets, your other variables can react as well. So maybe in this case, I want to use Spearman correlation. And Spearman correlation does not have any assumption on the underlying distribution of data. So that's the main difference between both Pearson and Spearman correlation, rank correlation. Now this is the output. Let me now go and check individual variables and see the output. So the very first thing I want to see the median annual income. Let me do one thing. Let me first create a distribution plot of the median annual income variable. Now if you see over here, the median annual income is kind of and that is a normal distribution, but it's heavily right skewed, and that's the way typically the annual income is. There are few users who may have very high annual income, but most of them are concentrated toward the center. So this is the distribution plot. When I'm going to the normality test video, right, that's one of the video I have planned for future. I will show you like how to assess whether it's normally distributed or not, and how to convert the data to be to normally distributed values if it is not normally distributed. But now, like let's just quickly go through it and assess each and every relationship and the strength. So what I'm doing now is I am basically checking the Spearman correlation between FICO score and annual income. So when I take FICO score and annual income, I'm getting like it's okay. It's pretty strongly positively correlated. It's plus 0.95, right? Let me draw a regression plot. Let me draw a scatter plot and a regression line to show how the data looks like. So this is how the data looks like. If you see, basically, it's you can actually see like the points are not exactly on the line. So there is no strong linear relationship, but still there is an linear relationship over here. There are few points that are completely on the top that can be outlier, but knowing that median annual income or the annual income by itself can have extreme ranges, these are not really a business outlier. Maybe technically it looks like that, right? So if you see the over here, the values are pretty close to the line, and you can see some kind of linearity over here in the relationship. If I am using an typical regression model, there may be some standard error, but that's fine. I can still model this relationship, right? Similarly, the median income, I can also use the average annual income. Now, average annual income like kind of still like addresses, still I will have outliers, but it will kind of address some part of the outlier. Let me quickly visualize this one, and you can see almost the same graph, but some of the points, if you see compared to the top graph, most of the points are away from the line, if you see over here. But when you come down, you can see the points over here are started touching the line and somewhat relatively closer to it, but still there are outliers. 3 or 4 points are still outside of the line, right? So this is a case where there's a complete linear correlation. And similarly, I can do it for the basically the debt to income ratio value also. And you can see now the top one that we saw was a positive correlation. If you see, there is a positive correlation. As FICO score increases, the annual income also increases of the user, right? So there's a positive correlation. But what happens with the debt to income? There is a strong negative correlation over here, right? Now, if you visualize the graph, you will get to know better with the FICO score. Now you can see there's a decreasing trend. So as the FICO score increases, the user debt to income ratio is lower. And that's true. Typically, high FICO score user might have higher annual income. And so the debt to income ratio will be lesser, most probably. But that cannot be the case always, right? There may be definitely some outlier individuals who might have leveraged more. And that's why you are seeing that the graph is not perfectly linear. It's linear towards the center, but in the initial FICO range, you can see like the debt to income ratio is kind of increasing, and then as it comes down, it decreases rapidly, right? So typically people who are in the 800 plus bucket or 850 bucket are very less. So the population size also will be very less to really get a good average also. That can also be the reason. Now, if you see, we saw positive correlation, we saw negative correlation. Let's also check with the interest rate. Now, interest rate is again as a strong negative correlation, and if you visualize it, you can see the interest rate basically again it basically decreases with the FICO score, because high FICO score customer typically will get a lower interest rate loan compared to low FICO score customer. And you can still see some linear relationship that can be modeled with a linear way, kind of a linear model. There will be some standard error through, but you can still model it, right? Now you can also quickly see the distribution plot of interest rate, and you can see the data is mostly normal, but you can see some left and left skew mostly. So that's what it is, right? So this is basically the distribution plot. Now what we will do is, let us quickly go and basically check the like probability plot, right? The probability plot is nothing but a quantile plot, QQ plot as well. And this is a good way of measuring whether the distribution is normal or not, because I'm checking whether the distribution is normal or not. So if you want to check like rather than in a visual way, if you want to check a graphical way or statistical way of checking if if there is a normally distributed data set, then you can use the distribution probability plot. And the probability plot, if you see the center line over here, if all the points lie on the center line, then you can assume assume that particular data to be normally distributed. But in this case, it's not. You can see basically they are away from the line, most of the data set. And in real world, it's very difficult to find such data set, except for maybe the birth weight and more kind of the census data set. And there are a lot of other data sets as well in the life sciences field and bio field where you can find it. But outside of that, it's kind of little difficult to find those kind of data set. But you can take this data set and convert into an normal distribution data set, right? That you can definitely do, which I'll be covering in my later video, right? So this is basically how you check the normality of data. Now let us go outside of the positive correlation, negative correlation. Let try to visualize different other relationships. So now I am going to visualize the FICO score and loan total. All right. Now, if you see over here, the FICO score and loan total, they are almost zero. There is no relationship at all, right? And that's what it shows over here. There's no relationship at all. The best way is, even though it does not show any relationship, let us plot the data and see like what can be, how does it look like. So here, if you see, the data looks basically very curvy. The center line is over there. The data almost is away from the center line. But still, like I cannot plot it by a linear model. I need some non-linear model over here to plot the data. I can go either for like complex model, or I can even go for a polynomial term, right? So that's what it is. Now I will just quickly show you what if I use an polynomial term, how it looks like. I have disabled the code for a reason, because I'm going to cover it separately in the next video. I don't want to go into the code now, but I'll quickly show you like how it looks like. So what I'm done over here is I have used an fourth order polynomial, and with the fourth order polynomial I'm just getting a fit that is almost close to the actual. There are still some points away from it, and that's pretty natural. You don't want your coefficients and other to overfit the data set. So basically here I'm using a polynomial, fourth order polynomial to fit the data. That's what I have done over here. Now this is one part where we have some kind of non-linearity, right? We were seeing linear trend always. There is some kind of non-linearity, but this non-linearity can still be handled by an regular model or an higher order polynomial models, right? So the next one I'm going to compare this with the FICO score is with the default rate. Now if you see the FICO score and default rate, there is an negative correlation, and almost like it's 0.88, which is a pretty strong negative correlation. But if when I go and plot this data, FICO and default rate, you can actually see, even though there is a negative correlation, there's a decreasing trend, but the data is not the data is not increasing in the same way as FICO score decreases, right? It's not decreasing the same way. You can see like a lot of points are away from the data, right? And this is what we call this as monotonic relationship. Now linear relationship are also called monotonic relationship. So it's not that linear relationship are not monotonic, but the rate of change is same in case of linear relationship. In this case, what has happened, the variable tend to move in relatively same direction as you are saying, right? The direction is still the same, but it's not moving at the same constant rate as you see in a perfect linear relationship, right? So in case of like monotonic relationship, when you want to model in the when you want to use this variable to model it, you can use a linear model also, and you can sometimes use a slightly complex non-linear model. There are other ways to do it. One of the most prominent way that we can do is segmentation. So if you take in the FICO score, right, you want to kind of not run a generic model for all the FICO buckets, because you are if you take it comes in the regulatory preview, you want to make sure like your model is learning individual segment of users, not the entire data set, right? Because what can happen when you model entire data set at once, there's high possibility like your coefficients are going to be shared across the segments, and there can be some bias because of that. So what you typically do is segment the data. In the next video I'm going to show you how to segment this data, but what you can do in this case is 500 to 550 you can create a range, and you can build one model. For 550 to maybe 650 over here you can build one model, or 660 or 670 you can build one model. So you can do that as well. That is a pretty powerful technique used in marketing segmentation, and as well your credit risk segmentation. So this is something like, even though the relationship is showing as linear, but when you plot it, it's actually like not completely linear over here, right? The next thing we are going to see is the FICO score and the default rate, right? It's the same thing that basically we have been seeing here, but only thing is I did an Pearson correlation here, and you are seeing negative 0.88, and then I am doing an Spearman correlation which is showing 0.93, which indicates even stronger relationship. And that's what I said, like basically your Spearman correlation is better in modeling your monotonic relationship. So that is a huge difference, 0.88 to 0.93, right? So the final one I'm going to show is I'm going to plot median annual income and loan total, right? And if you see the correlation of these two variables, it's almost 0.03, which is very less. It is almost similar to what we saw in our non-linear model. But in the non-linear model, we were able to use higher order polynomial and plot it, right? Now let's go and plot the data, right? So I'm going to plot the median annual income and the loan total variable. So once I plot it, you can basically see there is a complete non-linear relationship over there. Basically, the rate of increase or decrease in one variable is not affecting the other variable in a linear pattern, and that's a basically output is curved in nature, right? And as I did in the previous part of it, when I see a non-linear data, I can try to fit an polynomial function, but in this case the data looks too complex to even fit a polynomial function. You can still fit it and you may get somewhere close to it, but you will still have an high standard error rate and you will have a low biased model, right? Let me do the same thing for one other variable called debt to income ratio and loan total, and then I will show you how does basically how the polynomial output looks like. So again, this another variable, and you can actually see like it's 0.02, which is again there is very almost no correlation at all between the two variable. Let me do an regression plot of these two variable, and you can basically see over here the same non-linear pattern, right? The center line is completely far off, all the points are distributed randomly. You can see that. Now what I can do is I can go and fit an third order polynomial to this. I can just do a non-linear function, and in the next video I'll also show you like how to determine which quadratic function or which polynomial function to fit the data. Let me quickly run this. Now actually you can see like I have tried to fit a third order polynomial here, and you can see the output of the third order polynomial. But the problem over here is a lot of points are completely away on the top. The bottom one does not have any pattern at all, and if even if I use this model, I'm not going to get any solid prediction over here, right? So we will talk about nonlinear function, basically more like polynomial function, like quadratic, cubic, and everything in the next video. And we will also talk about segmentation when it comes to a monotonic relationship in the next video, right? But in this video, I just wanted to show you the different relationship that exists, talk about correlation, covariance, and talk about when to use which correlation function. So that's about it in this video. See you in the next video. Thank